Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are stepping straight into the shadows.
We really are, and I don't mean that metaphorically either.
No, definitely not. We are returning to Rifthold,
Yeah.
but, it is not the city we left behind. The book name is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and it's heavy.
Oh, it's a massive turning point. If you think about it, the previous books were really about Aelin running from her past, right? Or kind of just struggling to accept her heritage.
Right.
But this deep dive, this is about her burning down every single obstacle in her way to reclaim it.
Yeah, it almost feels like a genre shift to me.
It really does.
Like we went from this sort of competition story early on into a sprawling fantasy epic, and now we are squarely in the realm of like a high-stakes heist thriller.
A heist thriller mixed with incredibly dark fantasy.
Exactly. That gritty urban feel is just so prevalent. Yeah, we have Aelin back on the continent, but she's playing this super dangerous double game.
Because she hasn't returned openly as the Queen of Terrasen.
Right, she's in disguise.
She's back in the skin of her old persona, Celaena Sardothien the assassin. But, and this is key, the mindset is completely different now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
She is entirely ready to burn the old world down to save her kingdom.
And honestly, she has to be. The setting itself has shifted so much to reflect that. Rifthold is just darker now.
Yeah, there's this palpable sense of dread hanging over everything.
The King of Adarlan isn't just sitting on his glass throne issuing orders anymore. He's got these new guards patrolling the streets.
The black uniforms.
Right, black uniforms with onyx wyverns embroidered on them. It's literally black on black.
That imagery is so striking, like the whole city has just been dipped in ink.
Yeah.
And, it's not just a fashion statement from the king.
Far from it.
People are vanishing. There are executions happening daily at sunrise and sunset. And then there's this terrifying new enemy force, the Valg.
Which is really the core threat here. We aren't just dealing with human political maneuvering anymore. We are dealing with ancient parasitic demons.
So just to lay out the mission of this deep dive for everyone listening, we need to unravel a really complex web of identities.
Oh yeah, there are so many moving parts.
We've got Aelin, the assassin queen. We have Chaol, who is now a royal leader.
Which is crazy to think about.
Right. And Manon, the conflicted witch. Plus poor Dorian, who's basically an enslaved prince at this point.
It's a lot. We're going to look at the psychology of trauma, the cost of loyalty, and what actually happens when magic crashes back into a world that tried to suppress it.
So let's unpack this. We start right in the thick of it. Aelin arrives in Rifthold. And where is the very first place she goes?
Not the castle.
Not a rebel hideout. She goes straight to the vaults.
Which is such a perfect narrative choice by the author because the vaults is this subterranean pleasure hall. It's a warren of sin.
It's hot. It reeks of stale ale and unwashed bodies.
It's the absolute underbelly of the city. And Aelin enters in disguise. She's dyed her hair.
Right, covering up that distinctive Galathynius gold.
Exactly. She's blending in with the lowlifes, but there's a huge psychological layer here, too. She's returning to the muck she essentially crawled out of, but she's doing it with the eyes of a queen now.
And she's there for a very specific, incredibly dangerous reason. She is meeting Arobynn Hamel,
The King of the Assassin.
her old master, the guy who basically ruined her life, but also entirely made her who she is.
He is the complicated father figure to end all complicated father figures. Arobynn is the architect of Celaena Sardothien. He took a broken child and forged a weapon.
But now the weapon has come back, and she's got a mind of her own.
Yeah, she does. But before she even gets to Arobynn, we get this incredible moment of tension. Because she spots Chaol Westfall in the vaults.
Oh man, this moment, it literally stops your breath.
It really does. Because think about where we left them. They were in love or, something very close to it. And then everything just fell apart.
And now she sees him.
But he's not in that pristine uniform of the captain of the guard anymore.
No, he's wearing these nondescript brown clothes. They're spotted with dirt and blood. And he's there meeting with Arobynn too. That's the real kicker.
It's a massive shock. Chaol, the man of honor, the guy who lived by a code of absolute loyalty to the crown and the law, is making backdoor deals with the King of the Assassins in a subterranean brothel.
It just shows how desperate the situation Rifthold has become.
It really does. And Aelin is just watching him from the shadows, noticing that he's leading rebels now. There is this completely heartbreaking distance between them.
They're in the same exact room, but they're worlds apart.
It's a physical representation of the emotional chasm that opened up between them since Heir of Fire.
Right, because she's evolved into Aelin, this fey queen with immense magic, and he's been stripped of his title, his home, his best friend. He's just skulking in the dark.
So when she finally sits down with Arobynn, I mean, talk about a power dynamic.
He is terrifying.
He is. He's charming, he's handsome in that aristocratic way, but he is pure manipulation. He's the kind of villain who invites you to dinner, pours you the finest wine, and you spend the entire meal wondering if it's poisoned.
And usually with Arobynn, the poison is metaphorical. It's his words. It's emotional leverage.
Exactly. He plays this psychological game right away. He tells her he missed her. Right. He's trying to slip right back into that role of the benevolent protector, even though they both know he's a monster who orchestrated the death of her first love, Sam.
But Aelin notices something crucial during this meeting. He's not wearing any jewelry.
Yes. The amulet of Orinth.
The heirloom he stole from her, it's missing.
Which heavily implies he's hidden it. He knows she wants it back. It's literally the last piece of her parents she has left, so he's dangling it. But then he pivots to business. He drops the news that Aedion, a shriver, Aelin's cousin and her general, is imprisoned.
This is the first major plot driver. Aedion is set to be executed in Prince Dorian's birthday party, which is clearly a trap to lure Aelin out.
Arobynn knows it's a trap, and he offers to help her rescue Aedion, but as always with Arobynn, there's a price.
He doesn't want gold. He's already rich enough.
Right. He wants knowledge. He wants Aelin to capture a Valg demon for him so he can study it.
Because he's a businessman. He sees these monsters taking over his city, and he's worried about his investments. It is so utterly cynical.
It's Arobynn in a nutshell, self-interest above all else.
Everyone else is worried about the actual end of the world, and Arobynn is worried about his profit margins.
Exactly. But let's pause here and clarify for the listeners. What exactly are the Valg in this context? Because the lore gets pretty dense.
That's a good call. We see the black uniforms, the pale skin, that weird lack of emotion. What are we actually dealing with?
Based on the text, the Valg are a race of parasitic demons from another world. They essentially inhabit human bodies.
Yeah.
But there is a strict hierarchy.
Right, you have the soldiers.
The grunts, and they are controlled by these black rings.
The rings we see on all the new guards.
Exactly. The rings allow a lesser demon to pilot a human. It suppresses the human soul, sort of shoving it into a dark corner of the mind while the demon takes the wheel.
That's horrifying.
But then there are the collars. Black wardstone collars. These are specifically for the Valg princes. They don't just control the host, they completely consume them.
They feed on fear and life essence.
Yeah, it's a total occupation of the soul.
It really raises the stakes from just dealing with an evil king to fighting a literal existential threat.
And that leads us directly into the massive fracture between Aelin and Chaol, because when they finally meet up in the sewers...
Which, by the way, very glamorous reunion location for them.
The absolute best. But when they meet, Chaol doesn't actually know the full extent of this demonic threat, does he?
He doesn't. And this reunion is... it's tough to watch. If you're a fan of these characters, it just hurts.
It's so tense. They meet in the slums, and immediately the blame game starts.
Chaol blames Aelin's antics in Wendlin, her big show of magical power over there, for the king's brutal crackdown in Rifthold.
He essentially calls her a monster, or at least he heavily implies it. He is terrified of her magic.
He really is. But we kind of have to look at this from Chaol's perspective to understand him, even if we completely disagree with him.
Right. Chaol is a man whose entire world was defined by order and rules. He believes in the system, even if the head of the system is corrupt.
Magic represents pure chaos to him. It's the unknown.
So he looks at Aelin, this woman who can summon fire that can burn down an entire city, and he sees a threat. He doesn't see a savior. He fears what she might become.
And Aelin? She is just done apologizing.
Oh, she's completely over it. She's spent enough time hating herself. She definitely doesn't need Chaol to do it for her.
So she explains the reality of the Valg princes to him.
Yeah.
She tells him they feed on life, and then she drops the absolute bomb. Dorian has a collar.
Which means Dorian isn't just being manipulated or influenced. He is enslaved by a demon prince.
Right. And this is where the rift tears completely wide open. Aelin is pragmatic. She's a queen of a conquered people.
She knows the terrible cost of war.
She realizes that if a Valg prince has taken Dorian, the human Dorian might already be gone. Or he might be suffering a fate that's literally worse than death.
So she is willing to kill Dorian to stop the demon and spare him that agony.
And Chaol just cannot handle that.
He can't. His loyalty to Dorian is his defining character trait. It's the North Star of his entire life.
He refuses to even let Aelin near the castle initially.
Because he's convinced she'll just assassinate Dorian the second she gets the chance. He's paralyzed by it.
He's leading rebels, yes, but he's stuck. He's caught between protecting his best friend and fighting the king. He's trying to fight a war with one hand tied behind his back.
It's tragic because you can see both sides. Chal is holding on to hope, and Aelin is preparing for the absolute worst-case scenario because she's a leader. She has to.
But they have to somehow work together to save Aedion. The execution is happening. The king is using it as a public trap. And the rescue scene,
Oh, man.
it is pure cinematic chaos.
It's Aelin at her absolute finest. This is exactly where we see the stark difference between Celaena the assassin and Aelin the queen.
Right, because Celaena might have snuck in, slit a guard's throat, and snuck out quietly.
Exactly. But Aelin, she disrupts the party with insane dramatic flair. She uses reactive powder to basically blow up the glass garden.
The imagery there
Mhm.
of the glass flowers exploding, shards flying everywhere, it is so potent. It's like she's literally shattering the illusion of the king's refined, perfect court.
It's a loud declaration of war. She saves Aedion, grabbing him right off the execution block, but the aftermath of that rescue just deepens the conflict with Chaol.
Because he sees that she really was ready. She had the word-marked weapon. She had the intent. If Dorian had been there and posed a threat, she would have struck him down.
It completely reinforces his fear. He looks at her and sees a killer. She looks at the situation and sees a necessary sacrifice.
It's a fundamental clash of philosophies. One is personal loyalty, Call to Dorian, and the other is abstract loyalty, Aelin to the greater good, to her kingdom.
And neither of them is completely wrong, which is why the conflict is so juicy for the reader. But while all this intense human drama is unfolding in Rifthold, we really have to look at the darker threat brewing in the mountains. We need to talk about Morath.
Yes. The witches, specifically Manon Blackbeak. We cut to the Duke's stronghold in Morath, and it is just a nightmare factory.
It's a literal house of horrors. It's dark, it's freezing cold, and it's filled with horrific experiments. The Duke Parrington and this absolute creep Vernon are running the show there.
And their master plan. They want to breed witches with Valg demons.
Which is, yeah.
To create a super race. That is disturbingly biological.
It's eugenics powered by dark magic. It's visceral and gross. And Manon, who is the wing leader of the Iron Teeth Witches, is disgusted by it.
Now remember, for everyone listening, Manon is not a good guy in the traditional sense.
Oh, not at all.
She's a killer. She drinks blood. She literally has iron teeth. But she has a strict code.
Right. She sees the Duke's plan to use her witches, specifically the Yellowlegs clan initially, as breeding stock. And it absolutely revolts her. She starts to see the Duke not as a master she has to obey, but as a direct threat to her people.
It's so interesting that her morality doesn't stem from wanting to save humans, but purely from preserving the dignity of witches.
Precisely. It's totally tribal.
Yeah.
But her tribe is currently being threatened, and right in the middle of this dark fortress, she finds someone totally unexpected. Elide Locken.
Elide. I love her. She's such a fascinating counterpoint to Manon. She's introduced as this lame servant girl dragging her leg, seemingly invisible to everyone, but she is actually the rightful lady of Pranth.
Elide is arguably the bravest character in the entire book.
Truly.
She has no magic. She has a severe physical disability in a place that violently culls the weak. She is surrounded by literal demons and bloodthirsty witches, and yet she survives. She's smart, she's observant, and she's just surviving in the belly of the beast.
Manon catches her spying, right? Instead of killing her, which would absolutely be the standard witchy thing to do, she recruits her.
Because Manon deeply respects strength, and she sees a completely different kind of strength in Elide. It's not the strength of muscle or magic, it's pure strength of will.
Elide lies to survive. She claims her blood runs blue, meaning she has witch blood, just to avoid being experimented on or slaughtered.
And Manon. She actually takes her under the protection of the 13. She starts calling her witchling.
I just love that dynamic so much. The apex predator protecting the prey because she realizes the prey actually has teeth. It's like Manon sees a little bit of herself, the secret part of herself she has to keep hidden in Elide.
Absolutely. And Manon is also dealing with some intense internal politics. Her second, Asterin, is constantly pushing her buttons.
Asterin is basically the heart of the 13, whereas Manon is the spine.
That's a great way to put it. Asterin challenges Manon's blind obedience to the Duke. And we finally learn about Asterin's tragic past. She had a human lover and a child, a witchling, which was strictly forbidden by the Iron Teeth matriarchs.
And the child died, or, well, was killed.
Yeah, that backstory is devastating, and it perfectly explains why Asterin is so reckless and so incredibly angry all the time.
This trauma drives her intense hatred of the breeding plan. She sees history repeating itself in the absolute worst way possible. She sees her sisters being used to just create monsters.
It really humanizes the witches so much. It shows that they aren't just mindless killing machines. They have this profound capacity for grief and love, even if they're forced to bury it deep down.
Precisely, and that slowly cracks Manon's armor. She begins to realize that her blind obedience to her grandmother, the High Witch and the Duke, is ultimately going to lead to the extinction or enslavement of her entire kind.
She realizes that to actually save the witches, she might have to become a traitor.
Now, meanwhile, back in Rifthold, Aelin is busy assembling her own kind of coven, her court. And finally, we get the arrival of Rowan Whitethorn.
The reunion we were all waiting for. And it is so pivotal. Think about Aelin's state of mind right before this happens. She is jagged.
She's angry, she's grieving, she's highly volatile.
She's carrying the weight of the entire world on her shoulders. Rowan's presence completely stabilizes her. He brings that ancient Fey warrior cadre energy. He's immensely powerful, but honestly, more than that, he is her true partner. He grounds her.
The text mentions her scent, specifically when he arrives, which I love. To him, she smells like jasmine, lemon verbena, and crackling embers.
It's a sensory map of her identity. Soft, fresh, but inherently dangerous. It's such a beautiful detail. And Rowan isn't the only major addition to her circle. We have Lysandra.
Lysandra, formerly Arobyn's favorite courtesan, the woman Aelin absolutely hated as a teenager. They had this petty, vicious rivalry fueled entirely by Arobyn pitting them against each other for his own amusement.
But the tables have completely turned now.
It's a brilliant deconstruction of the rival women trope.
Oh, totally. Often in fantasy, you have the tough warrior woman and the girly girl, and they just inherently hate each other. Maas completely flips it. Lysandra isn't just a pretty face. She's a shapeshifter.
Her magic was stripped by the king, trapping her in a human form that she carefully curated to be beautiful purely for survival.
She's been wearing a mask for years, literally and figuratively.
And Aelin steps up. She pays off Lysandra's massive debts to the Madame Clarice. She just outright frees her. It's such a boss move.
It is, but it's also highly strategic. Lysandra is fiercely loyal to Aelin now. But more importantly, it's Aelin finally recognizing that Lysandra fought her own kind of war.
Right. Aelin fought with swords in Endovir. Lysandra fought with her body and her wits in a room full of dangerous, predatory men. Aelin respects that survival instinct now.
And that hard-earned loyalty pays off in the most satisfying way possible in this book, the death of Arobyn Hamel.
Oh, we definitely have to talk about this. Aelin spends half the book playing this intricate long con with Arobyn, acting the part of the obedient protege, pretending she might actually come back to the guild.
She lets him think he's winning. She lets him think he's entirely in control. Arobyn is just so arrogant. He actually thinks he has these women figured out. He thinks he owns them.
He thinks he can just slide right back into Aelin's mind and manipulate her exactly like he did when she was 16.
And then, the twist. It's not Aelin who kills him.
No. It's Lysandra. In his own bed. She slits his throat.
The supposedly untouchable king of assassins, taken out by the woman he treated like a literal doll.
It's poetic justice. I mean,
Yeah.
Aelin could have killed him in a duel, sure. It would have been flashy. But having Lysandra do it.
It proves Arobyn's fatal flaw. He totally underestimated the people he victimized. He didn't think Lysandra had it in her. He saw her as a tool, a toy. He never saw the blade.
And it's so incredibly personal. It's intimate violence. And with him dead, Aelin instantly seizes the Assassin's Guild. She takes over the entire underworld. She gets the Amulet of Orinth back.
Which is the third word key. That is huge. So she has the amulet, she has her court forming, she has the guild, but we still have that massive hanging thread of the Valg threat.
Right. And back in Morath, something explosive is happening with Celaena Sardothien.
Celaena. Now, there is a major callback. She was the snobby court lady in the first book who wanted to marry Dorian and was kind of just a nuisance.
And now she's a prisoner in Morath.
Celaena gets a massive redemption arc here. She's been held in Morath for a long time. Everyone thinks she's just completely broken or crazy. The Duke has been injecting her, infusing her with something called Shadowfire.
Sounds super friendly.
It's terrifying. It's this dark, highly destructive magic. It's basically like black napalm. But here's the crazy surprise. Celaena isn't broken at all. She's just biding her time.
She reveals to Manon that she has actually kept the demon prince inside her at bay. And how does she do it? By eating it.
She's consuming the demon. That is so metal.
It is incredibly metal. She's using her shadow fire to burn the demon away, bit by bit. She's turned her own body into a trap.
She realizes she can't be saved. because the magic is consuming her too, but she realizes she can be a weapon. And when the time is right, she unleashes it. She confronts Manon, but instead of fighting, she gives Aelin the weird key she was secretly holding.
The second key.
Right. She gives it to Aelin and tells her to run.
And then she goes nuclear.
Literally nuclear. She unleashes all her power and burns Morath straight to the ground. She kills herself to take out all of the Duke's monstrous experiments.
It's an act of supreme agency. She reclaims her body by destroying it, and she makes sure to take the enemy with her.
It's tragic, but it's so heroic. She was just a pawn in the first book, moved around by the Duke and the Queen. But in the end, she completely flips the board.
Exactly. So Morath is in ruins, Aelin is on the run with a weird key, and Manon is heading to Rifthold. Which brings us to the massive battle for Rifthold.
The Great Convergence. Everyone is coming to the city. Manon and the king arrive. Aelin is there. The rebels are there. And we finally get the big throwdown. Aelin versus Manon.
Assassin Queen versus Iron Teeth Witch. The fight choreography in the text here is brutal. Aelin is forced to use her human training, her wits, because she can't just blast Manon with fire constantly without bringing down the building or alerting the king too early.
And Manon is physically stronger, faster, and literally made of iron.
It's a real battle of skill. But the turning point isn't who actually wins the fight, it's who saves the other. During the fight, out of the bridge, the structure gives way. And Aelin saves Manon's life when things go completely sideways.
And Manon is left wondering, why? Why save your enemy?
I think it's because Aelin deeply respects the fight, and maybe she recognizes a fellow monster who is secretly trying to be something more.
I think that's exactly it. Aelin sees the core conflict in Manon, and doing this creates a life debt. In the witch culture, a life debt is absolutely binding.
The Queen of Terrasen had saved her life.
That realization completely shakes Manon's worldview. She can no longer just see Aelin as meat or a target. She is bound to her.
Meanwhile, inside the glass castle, it's Aelin versus Dorian. Or, well, rather, Aelin versus the Velg Prince, inside Dorian.
This is the emotional climax of the book. Aelin promised Taylor she would kill Dorian if he couldn't be saved, and she has the chance. She has the clear shot, but she refuses.
She looks at him and just sees her friend. She fights desperately to reach the human beneath the demon.
The quote that always kills me is, "You light up the darkness."
Yeah. It's her acknowledging that Dorian isn't just a passive victim. He's a spark. He has his own magic, his ice magic, that has been brutally suppressed. She's trying to fan that spark into a real flame.
And then the king enters the fray, and we get a reveal that fundamentally changes everything we thought we knew about the main villain of this series.
The King of Adarlan, the big bad, the man who banned magic. He reveals he was possessed too.
Or rather, he was fighting a losing battle against possession. He claims he was protecting Dorian all along because Dorian was strong. He drops the hint that Erewhon, the Valg King, is the real threat, and that he, the human king, has just been a puppet trying to cut his own strings.
He was possessed by a demon prince long ago, but a tiny sliver of the man remained, fighting from the inside.
It is incredibly complex. Now, does it excuse the genocide? No.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't wash away the blood. He still ordered the deaths of thousands. He still enslaved his own son.
But it recontextualizes the entire war. It explains the sheer madness of it. It wasn't just human cruelty. It was demonic design.
And in the end, the glass castle, the ultimate symbol of his tyranny, the conductor of his dark power, is destroyed. It's shattered.
And when that glass breaks, magic returns.
It just rushes back into the world. Aelin's fire, Dorian's ice, it's a massive flood. And in that chaos, the king is killed. The collar is finally broken.
Dorian strikes the final blow, or at least heavily assists in it. It is patricide, yes, but it is also pure liberation.
He kills the father who enslaved him. But he does it using the very magic his father tried to ban.
And we absolutely cannot forget Lysandra's moment out in the streets. While all this emotional stuff is happening in the castle, the city is under heavy attack by the Valg soldiers.
Oh, absolutely. Lysandra shifts. And she doesn't shift into a bird or a mouse. She shifts into a ghost leopard, a literal creature from myth.
She tears through the streets to save Rowan and Aedion, who are fighting off the hordes. It's her reclaiming her power in the most visual, ferocious way possible.
She was a woman who was only looked at. Now she's a beast who is feared.
So the dust finally settles. Rifthold is in ruins. The glass castle is completely gone. What is the New World Order?
Redden takes charge. She stands before the city. Rifthold is broken. The people are terrified. She declares Dorian the true King of Adarlan. She respects his right to his throne. But she declares herself Queen of Terrasen.
And she lays down the law. She tells the city, if you mistreat slaves, I will burn you.
I love that so much. She doesn't politely ask for change. She violently demands it. She establishes a new law of freedom immediately. She experienced slavery firsthand in Endovir. She is not going to tolerate it anywhere in her sphere of influence.
And then come the reconciliations and the partings. Chaol is injured. He's paralyzed from the fight. The magic healing couldn't fully fix his spine.
That's a really heavy price.
It is. It physicalizes the toll of the war. He can't walk away from this unscathed. And he and Aelin part ways, and it's super bittersweet. The friendship is forever changed. They aren't enemies, but they aren't the friends they used to be.
They've just hurt each other too much. Chaol is heading to the southern continent to heal, which sets up the next major phase of his journey.
But Dorian and Aelin really bond over their shared trauma. They're both survivors of the exact same darkness now.
They share a look. They know what it's like to be completely hollowed out. That bond is stronger than romance. It's survival.
And Manon leads her 13 away. She's fully aware that the real war is just beginning. She's no longer the Duke's weapon. She's a wild card.
She's going to find her own path. She has the knowledge that the god of her people is a lie. She's essentially Ronin now, a masterless samurai. And that makes her incredibly dangerous to the villains.
So we end with Aelin, Rowan, and Adian finally heading home to Terrasen. Aelin has her court, her magic, and her crown. But let's look at the bigger picture here. What has this deep dive really shown us?
It's shown us that identity is a conscious choice. Aelin chose to be queen. She easily could have stayed an assassin. She could have run away with Rowan, but she chose the hard path.
Manon is choosing to be something other than a monster. Dorian is choosing to live after being hollowed out. But there is a very provocative thought to leave you all with.
Lay it on us.
The king hinted that Erewhon is the real threat, the Vald king. And the Duke Parrington is still out there. He escaped Morath before Cultane blew it up, and he has the third ward key.
Right. Aelin has one, the amulet. Elite has one from Cultane, and the Duke has the third.
Exactly. Aelin won the battle for the city. She shattered the glass castle. But has she started a war she can't finish?
She burned down the old world, but the ashes are filled with demons that are far older and far hungrier than the King of Adarlan ever was.
She's essentially woken the dragon.
A completely chilling thought. Aelin is heading home to Terrasen, a kingdom that hasn't seen her in 10 years, but she might be walking straight into the maw of the beast.
And she'll have to be ready to burn that down, too.
What a ride. Queen of Shadows really changes the game. Thank you for listening to this deep dive.
Until next time, keep reading.
And watch out for the shadows.
You know, just thinking back on that opening, it really sets the stage for how much this world has expanded. We aren't just in a castle anymore. We are dealing with global stakes.
Absolutely, and I think what makes Queen of Shadows stand out is how it handles the fallout of everything that came before. It's not just part 4. It feels like the moment the series really grows up.
The characters are dealing with adult problems, trauma, PTSD, political strategy, rather than just teenage competition.
That's a great point. Let's circle back to Aelin's arrival in Rifthold. We touched on the vaults, but let's go a bit deeper into the psychology of her disguise. She's back as Celaena Sardothien, but is she really?
That's the central question of the first act. She's wearing the skin of Celaena, but the soul is Aelin. When she walks into the vaults, she isn't the arrogant girl who swaggered in there in the prequel novellas.
He's heavily calculated. She's assessing threats. She's seeing the poverty and the desperation in a way she didn't before.
Before, she was a part of the underworld. Now she's looking at it as a queen who has failed her people.
And that failure is super heavy on her. She sees the Val guards, those black uniforms we mentioned, and she realizes her absence allowed this to happen. If she had been there, could she have stopped it? Probably not, but she still feels the weight of it.
Guilt is a huge motivator for her in this book, and when she sees Chaol in the vaults, that guilt just hits a solid wall of resentment.
Let's really analyze that moment. She sees him dirty, unshaven, dealing with Erebin. To her, Chaol represents the safety she lost. He was the one guy who knew who she was as an assassin and still cared.
But to see him dealing with her abuser, that stings.
It's a betrayal of memory, almost. Like, you were supposed to be the good one. You were the captain of the guard. You were the moral compass.
And for Chaol, seeing her, remember the last time he saw her, she was leaving on a boat. He thought he was sending her to safety. Now she's back, and she looks different. She holds herself differently.
He doesn't see the girl he loved. He sees a fey queen, a massive threat. He sees the magic that he has been taught to fear his entire life.
We mentioned Arobyn's manipulation earlier, specifically the "I missed you" line. But let's talk about his request for the Valg demon. Why does a human assassin want a demon? Is it just morbid curiosity?
It's power. Arobyn is a total control freak. He sees the king gaining power with these monsters, and he wants to level the playing field.
If he can understand the Valg, maybe he can control them, or at least sell the information to the highest bidder. It shows that Arobyn is playing a very short game profit and survival, while Aelin is playing the long game saving the world.
That contrast is key. Arobyn is playing checkers. Aelin is playing 4D chess. Or maybe she's just setting the board on fire. Now, moving back to the sewers and the monster accusation, Chaol really struggles with her magic. Is it just fear, or is it prejudice?
It's both, but it's deeply rooted in the history of Adarlan. He was raised to believe magic is completely evil. It's hard to reprogram a lifetime of indoctrination, even if you desperately love the person wielding the magic.
When Aelin shows her fire, or when she talks about destroying the city to save it, Chaol hears the logic of a tyrant.
He equates absolute power with corruption. He looks at the king, then he looks at Aelin, and he worries he's just trading one monster for another.
That's a highly valid fear, historically speaking. Revolutions often just replace one dictator with another. And Aelin is scary, let's be perfectly honest. She threatens to flay people, she has a wild temper.
Exactly, and Aelin doesn't help her case by being so secretive. She doesn't trust him enough to explain her plans, which makes him trust her even less.
She keeps her cards super close to her chest, because she's learned that information is dangerous. It's just a vicious cycle of miscommunication.
Until the rescue of Aedion. Let's break down that rescue again. It's not just an action scene, it's a profound statement.
Though it's a theatrical performance. Aelin could have assassinated the guards quietly. Instead, she creates a massive scene. She wants the king to know she's back.
She wants the people to clearly see that the king isn't untouchable. Blowing up the glass garden, that's heavy symbolism. She's shattering the king's image of perfection. She creates a diversion that forces everyone to look directly at her.
And Aedion. We haven't talked much about him yet. He's the Wolf of the North.
Aedion is interesting because he is Aelin's mirror. He's the warrior she would have been if she had stayed in Terrasen. He's fiercely loyal, almost to a fault.
His reunion with Aelin is the total opposite of Chaol's. He accepts her instantly. He offers his sword and his life without hesitation.
He doesn't fear her magic. He reveres it. To him, her fire is the ultimate sign that hope has returned.
That must be such a massive relief for her, after dealing with Chaol's constant judgment, to have someone look at her and just say, "My queen."
It really is. Aedion validates her identity as queen. But let's jump back to the dark side of the story, Marath. We talked about the breeding program, but we should clarify what exactly the Duke is doing with the wyverns.
Right. The witches ride wyverns, these massive dragon-like creatures. But the Duke is genetically modifying them, too.
He's making them faster, stronger, far more vicious. And the breeding of the witches, it's about creating ultimate foot soldiers.
The Valg need hosts. Witches are strong, highly magical beings.
So Valg-infested witch, that's a nightmare scenario. That's a weapon of mass destruction. A Valg soldier in a human body is bad. A Valg soldier in an iron teeth witch body is basically unstoppable.
And that's exactly what Manon realizes. She sees the bait beasts, the failed experiments. She sees the pure cruelty.
Manon's arc is a real slow burn awakening. She starts as a perfect machine. Obedience, discipline, brutality. That's her mantra.
But Alid disrupts that. Alid is weak physically, but her mind is so sharp. Manon watches Alid survive the brutality of the kitchens, the guards. She sees a true survivor.
And Manon, surprisingly, has a major soft spot for survivors.
It's the Abraxas dynamic all over again. She chose the Beast Wyvern because he was a survivor. She chooses Alid for the exact same reason.
Spot on. Alid represents the humanity Manon is trying so hard to suppress, and Astrid represents the heart she's trying to freeze.
When Astrid reveals her scar, the unclean brand, and tells the story of her dead child, it breaks Manon. It forces her to choose between the ancient law of the Iron Teeth and the actual loyalty to her 13.
And she chooses the 13. That scene where she confronts her grandmother. Chilling.
It really is. It's the moment the student finally surpasses the master. She realizes her grandmother is just a bully. A very powerful bully, but a bully nonetheless.
But let's pivot to the lighter side, or as light as it gets in this book. The formation of the court in Rifthold. Lysandra.
I just love her character development. She was such a stereotype in the prequel, the standard mean girl rival. But here we see the survival mechanism behind it all.
Maas does a great job of showing that women survive very differently in this world. Aelin survived by killing. Lysander survived by selling herself and playing the dangerous game of courtly intrigue.
Neither's better or worse. They just did what they had to do. And Lysandra bore a burden Aelin didn't. She had to be pleasing to the very men who owned her.
And when Aelin pays her debt, it's not just about money, it's true freedom.
It's restoring her agency. Lysandra has been owned her entire life. By Erebin, by the madam. Aelin breaks the chain.
And in return, Lysandra gives Aelin the one thing she mentally can't do herself. She kills Erebin.
Why couldn't Aelin do it? She wanted to.
She could have, physically, but if Aelin killed him, it would have been a duel. A warrior's death. Erebin didn't deserve that kind of honor.
He deserved to die in the domestic space he corrupted, by the woman he constantly underestimated.
Lysandra slitting his throat is intimate and highly humiliating for him. It's the perfect end for a manipulator. He died in his sleep, completely defenseless, by the hand of a toy.
And it totally clears the board. With Erebin gone, the Assassin's Guild is essentially neutralized or taken over. The amulet is recovered.
Let's clarify the Amulet of Orinth again. It's the third ward key. We have 3 keys needed to open the ward gate. The king has one, or had one. One was hidden in the amulet, and the third was with Celaena.
Celaena holding the key. That was just a masterstroke of plotting. We all thought she was just a discardable side character.
Celaena is the MVP of this book in many ways. She endured torture that would break literally anyone else. The Shadowfire injection, that's pure agony. But she weaponized it.
The scene where she gives the key to Aelin, it's her legacy. She knows she won't survive, so she ensures the mission does.
Tell her I said hello. That line when she hands over the key for Aelin.
It implies she knew who Aelin was heading to. She knew Aelin was the endgame. She knew Aelin was the only one who could use the keys to actually stop Erewhon.
Celaena's sacrifice completely destroys Morath's production capabilities. It buys the heroes precious time. Without Celaena, there would have been thousands more Valg soldiers ready to march on the continent.
Which perfectly sets up the convergence in Rifthold. The final act. The glass castle. The symbolism of glass is everywhere.
Glass is beautiful, but highly fragile. It represents the king's rule. It looks imposing, but it can be shattered.
When the castle explodes, it's the physical manifestation of the illusion breaking. The illusion that the king is all-powerful. The illusion that magic is gone forever.
Let's talk about the magic returning. It's not a slow trickle. It's a massive dam breaking.
It changes the physics of the world instantly. Suddenly, Aelin isn't just a skilled fighter. She's a literal demigod of fire. Dorian isn't just a prince. He's a sorcerer of ice.
The power dynamic totally shifts from who has the most soldiers to who has the most raw power.
And Dorian, the scene where he breaks the collar.
It's agonizing. He's been trapped inside his own mind, just watching a demon use his body to do terrible things. That kind of profound violation is hard to even comprehend.
When Aelin fights him, she's trying to reach the man trapped inside. She's betting absolutely everything on his strength of will. And she's right. Dorian is stronger than anyone gave him credit for.
The king's shocking revelation that he was possessed too, does that redeem him in your eyes?
I don't think redeem is the right word. It just adds profound tragedy. He was a father who failed. He tried to fight Erewhon and lost.
He did terrible things to keep Dorian off the radar, thinking the weak prince would just be ignored by the demons. It's a twisted logic, but it's human logic. It makes him a deeply complex villain rather than a cartoon one.
And his death.
Highly necessary.
Yeah.
He had to die for the new world to be born. And frankly, after what he did to Sorsha, to the rebels, to the world, justice had to be served, even if he was technically a victim too.
So the castle falls, the king dies, and we have this brief moment of calm. Aelin is in charge.
It's a very precarious calm. Aelin's declaration to the city is crucial here. She doesn't just say, I'm in charge now. She says, no more slaves.
She targets the social inequality immediately. It shows she's really thinking about the kind of queen she wants to be. She's not just a conqueror, she's a true liberator.
But the cost is so high, Chaol is in a wheelchair.
His injury is significant. It physicalizes the toll of the war. He can't walk away from this unscathed. And his separation from Aelin, heading off to the southern continent to heal, is highly necessary.
They desperately need space. They've hurt each other too much to just be friends again right away. They really need to figure out who they are without each other.
And Manon leaves. Where is she going?
She's going to find her own path. She has the 13. She has the dangerous knowledge that the god of her people, the Duke in Erewhon, is a massive liar.
She's essentially Ronin now, a masterless samurai. And that makes her incredibly dangerous to the villains. She's a total loose cannon.
So looking forward, we have the keys. Well, Aelin has two now. The amulet and the one Elide has. Wait, Elide has one, Aelin has one, and who has the third?
Let's track them carefully. Aelin has the amulet key. Elide has the Caltaine key. The third key, the Duke still has it. The Duke escaped Morath right before Caltaine blew it up.
Right, so the enemy still has a key, and the ultimate enemy is Erawan, an ancient Vald king, not just a possessed human king.
And Erawan is arguably much, much worse. He's ancient, he's incredibly patient, he's not bound by human emotions or weaknesses. Aelin has won a major battle, but the war is against a literal force of nature.
That provocative thought we ended on earlier, has she started a war she can't finish? It feels very, very real.
She's woken the dragon, essentially. By completely destroying the glass castle and bringing back magic, she's loudly signaled to Erawan that she is a major threat.
He definitely won't ignore her anymore. He will come for her with everything he has.
And she's heading to Terrasen, a kingdom that might not even want her back.
That's the next big conflict. She's the queen by blood, but she hasn't been there in 10 long years. She has to prove herself to her own people, all while fighting off an army of demons. It's definitely not going to be an easy homecoming.
It never is with Sarah J. Maas. But that's exactly why we love it.
The complexity is the whole point. It's about the deep messiness of reclaiming your life.
Well, that was quite a journey through the shadows. I feel like we've really mapped out the intense trauma and the triumph of this book.
It's a super dense book. Every single chapter adds a new layer to the character dynamics.
Thanks for guiding us through the darkness.
Always a pleasure to burn it down with you.
For everyone listening, take a deep breath. The war has just begun. We'll see you in the next deep dive.